The Senate is sitting late into tonight on the final scheduled parliamentary sitting day of the year to try to ram through government legislation for Telstra involvement in the rollout of the national broadband network. A vote isn't expected until tomorrow, and the House of Representatives will be called back to sit on Monday to rubber stamp a series of bills before the summer break. It's been a long, tough and tumultuous year for federal politicians, none more so than for the party whips, who've had their work cut out for them, coping with the hung parliament and numbers on a knife edge. Political editor Heather Hewitt.
They don't call him the whip for nothing.
How do we go?
In these strange new political times of a minority government, it's a very useful skill for the Liberal Party's Warren Entsch to have.
Rob, aren't you? At the end of the day, mate.
Never has the role of party whips in rounding up their troops for crucial votes assumed greater importance, and that task falls to these two men.
Well, I think the so-called new paradigm has put a lot of pressure on all occupants of this building, but particularly those in leadership positions, and of course on the whips. It's been a tough task, but it's been an interesting task. Every day is an unpredictable day, and I've quite enjoyed that, to be honest.
Like Joel, you know, neither of us aspired to this job. The phone call, I think, in both cases come totally out of the blue. And I think when we walked through the door in the first instance, we've had this discussion, we wondered what in the hell had hit us. But nevertheless, I mean, we've settled into it reasonably well.
Ah, Mr Thompson, just the man I was looking for. You're making me nervous.
Their workloads have doubled since the last election. First and foremost, they have to keep tabs on every one of their members, pretty much at all times, to make sure they're in the House for every single vote, on every bill and motion. Woe betide the member who forgets his or her beeper or doesn't have a good excuse.
One had a illness, I guess, and was trying to get to the chamber but just couldn't make it in time, and you accept that once. In another occasion, I had a member that had forgotten to collect this. Well, it won't happen again. I can assure you it won't happen again.
Here he is.
That's all right, Minister. No, have I got a deal for you, mate? That very good question.
What am I going to do with
that
this?
very good question you submitted?
Yeah,
ask it well.
No one wrote it for me.
No, that's exactly right.
The whips are responsible for handing out questions for that major piece of theatre in the Parliament.
Go and do it.
And for lining up the order of speakers on legislation and motions before the House.
Yeah, no, I'm quite keen to speak on that one, actually. That's a good one.
Well, send me an email, I'll get your name down.
Yeah.
There's still some spaces.
When it's bills for this week,
yep.
So when is that going to be on?
Whoever puts their name down on the list is the one that gets it.
The so-called new paradigm is taking quite a bit of adjustment, not just for the whips, but for all the members, especially those who are used to the days when the government ruled the roost in the Parliament, and the occasional long dinner break out of the building would go unnoticed.
The longer people have been around the place, the more difficult it is for them to get used to the new environment. New members, of course, have known nothing else and don't expect to get out of the place whenever it suits them. But those who have been around for a while are finding it hard to adjust, and that's to be expected.
So you crawl all over the new ones very quickly in the piece, and I can understand that, you know, the whip is everything that they read about and feared, and that works.
To reinforce the point, the former Queensland crocodile farmer likes to give new members added incentive to toe the line.
This come from my crocodile farm. This is one that I personally skinned, and I thought this is one that stepped out of line. And so that was the result of not doing the right thing by me, and I thought it's a great message to be sent to any of my colleagues when you're trying to whip them and get them to cooperate. Mate, have a look at that crocodile. He was one that didn't do the right thing.
Plenty of lollies there, Justine.
Yeah, no, do you want to see me about those issues later on? Okay.
No, we'll do it later.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right.
Okay.
The Labor whip thinks you can catch more flies with honey, so he has plates of lollies and cake at the front door of his office to keep his team happy.
Well, it's difficult for them to learn, but I've often made the point that making sure they're all here for divisions is not the hardest part, because each and every one of them know that if they miss a division and cost the government, in my case, a vote, they'll be on the front page of every newspaper tomorrow for all of the wrong reasons. So there's a fair bit of motivation there.
Including in their own electorate.
While Labor boasts it hasn't lost a vote yet on a piece of legislation, the opposition doesn't have the same unblemished record, but it's learning fast. When those division bells are ringing, the head count is on.
Be ready, we've got a division. It's going to happen right now.
The bells ringing.
So can you get the beepers
Yes,
out?
we're paged and we're emailed as well.
What's this one on, Nate?
This is the higher education DSU bill.
All right.
Oh, good one. Good
Okay,
one,
well,
good.
we've got, and we need to make sure that everybody's
2 pairs.
Okay.
organised.
Who's the pairs?
Claire Dwyer and Josh Bridenberg.
Oh, are they paired all day?
They've already been advised and informed, yes.
Hello, how are y'all?
But keeping track of divisions on legislation, the whips say, is the easiest part. Under new rules negotiated by the independents, there are a lot more private members' bills, where voting patterns can be unpredictable.
Obviously that builds tension around the place, and Warren and I and others, I suppose spend a lot of time trying to manage what goes into the Parliament and what doesn't, and then after that making sure that our respective sides get the right outcome.
And it's also managing, and I have to say this, managing the expectation of the independents and the crossbenchers too, because that can be a challenge at times.
Well, I know both of them personally, and they are challenged.
It's a backhanded compliment.
And I thank them for their wisdom. And I do. We get on well with both the whips. They're good people. They know the game.
The biggest change of all happens in a conference room twice a week near the front door of the House of Representatives when the Parliament is sitting. That's when all the party whips, the Speaker of the House, Greens member Adam Bandt and Independent Rob Oakeshott decide the order of business in the House and what time is allocated for debates on bills and motions.
Most powerful committee in the Parliament.
And we do have moments in that process, but it's a learning.
Come on.
It's
Brawls,
I
would call them.
Well, that too. I mean, we won't talk about the time I jumped across the table. Okay, but we had to be restrained. But the Speaker did a good job.
It's only half true.
But the reality is that it's only about 5 weeks. It's a totally new concept. And sometimes things can be a little bit difficult there, but I guess as we move into next year, you get a much better understanding of what you need to do and how to achieve things. And I'm sure that we all concede that at this stage we've still got our trainer wheels on.
Do you think everyone still has their trainer wheels on?
Oh, they shouldn't talk about themselves like that.
Mr Speaker, I regard the last 3 words of the Leader's question and answer, which was the Leader of the House's answer, which was clearly designed to impugn the member for Wentworth as highly disorderly.
Sit down. I think people would like to see Christopher Pyne have a puncher on his training wheels. I've enjoyed the Parliament and I get a bit sick of seeing Christopher every day on a monocycle.
The theatrics of Parliament set aside, what's central to its smooth operation is that the opposition and Labor whips get along. Their offices are right next door to each other and they occasionally share a bottle of red to iron out problems and differences. At the end of this tumultuous political year, they're pretty happy with their lot.
People sitting back looking on the Parliament now, I think, would say, well, despite all the fuss post-election, the Parliament seems to be functioning okay and we seem to be getting good government.
Hasn't shut down.
And she and I, of course, take a fair bit of the credit for the Parliament
take
functioning.
all the credit. What do you mean?
Yeah.
All of the credit.
Okay, we'll take all of it.
Political editor Heather Ewart there.